Well, hello, everybody. Hello, Tom. How are you? Welcome to Tom Tuesdays. Or is it Tuesday, Tom? Whatever. Tom Tuesday, Tom.
Tuesdays.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you. No, it's great to be here. Got the shield and armor.
Yeah, nice to see you. So, welcome to Aquarius Rising Africa, where we've just about been flooded away, I have to tell you. I haven't had internet for 2 days, but just before the show, guess what? My internet came on. So happy I am. Yeah. So it's good to see you again, Tom. How's it been going there with you guys?
Oh, intense learning. That's my life. It's like what I share with you. So yeah, it's just realizations. It's like we open ourselves up and we look through the fog and we see what's really going on. And suddenly this flow happens. It's like obedience to awareness. And it's like, and keeping that childlike wonder really does cut through all the gates. So
It really does. And it's actually what you're saying now. It just reminds me of a movie I actually watched this week that somebody's been recommending to me for a long time. And I didn't think I would have it. And I have to tell you, it's actually on YouTube called They Live, which is really, it's from 1988. And just to put it in a nutshell, and I'm not going to talk about the entire movie, but the storyline is basically this guy goes to work for some construction company, and explosions and things happen and things get found out, and you see some stuff going on, discovers a box with sunglasses in. And on taking the sunglasses, he then wears a pair. And as he puts them on, instead of seeing, like, let's say at the traffic light, we call it the robots.
All right.
See, we've been calling it robots for a long time.
Wow.
You would see the red and the amber and the green light. So with the sunglasses on, you're actually seeing all the subliminal programming that's happening. And the subliminal programming behind that is obey. And looking around them, it's consume, spend, obey. Whatever it is, the subliminal programming that they want is actually put out there in an invisible form for us. It's obviously not invisible for them, but it certainly is to the average human eye. So there's the subliminal programming around these things that goes on all the time. And also with these sunglasses, he's able to see humans, and I don't know if you want to call them the demonics or whatever, but the like skeleton face, basically not human. No. And there's so many non-humans, if you want to call it that. And I don't want to say they're not human, because I guess we're all human, right, on some level, but not authentic human or something like that. But it's really, and it really just springs to mind how many otherworldly creatures are living amongst us in human bodies, and how we are subjected and programmed and controlled on so many different levels. And it's so layered. And funny, I actually came across a reel, which I actually put on my Facebook, which this guy is talking about a photograph, and I don't have it here now. Sorry, I didn't realize we we're going to be talking about this. Oh. But there's a picture of 7 people, and I think it comes from a Hollywood set, standing next to each other, all dressed in black. And he says, squint your eyes. And when you squint your eyes, the word that's written out with the people standing in the way that they are is obey. So this is definitely happening, and it has been happening for a long time. It's not just through frequencies and stuff. They're doing that anyway, but all the time, the subliminal programming through television, through newspapers, news articles, through magazines, all of that, wherever we look, it's there. It's like we really are under siege here. Right. So, it's about getting out of that fog. And, the word that you mentioned earlier is really just cutting through the fog, right? And seeing where we need to go, because we're in trouble, you know. And this something called a smartphone is definitely not smart at all. Not for you anyway. It might be for them, because A, it watches you all the time. We know that. And B, it keeps you completely disconnected. You see people walking in the streets. They're just staring at their phones, and they've got earphones in and completely disconnected and unaware of their surroundings, and watching whatever the latest trend is, or the latest makeup, or whatever it is. But this is the problem, and this is where, you know, we're in trouble, I have to say, in my opinion. I don't know what your take is on that.
Well, that's the thing. When it really comes push to shove, some of their institutions will really show how hard they're controlling. And part of that is the legal system, the injustice system in this country. And when I was going through the Hollywood gristmill, they, when you look at every factor, they control everything. Where when you have evidence to present, blocked. It's like Breaker Morant, when you watch Breaker Morant, right, about what happened to the Aussies or New Zealanders. And it's like, you know, everything stopped. Everything stopped. They replace the judge they want. They say no. They won't let you speak. You have to put your hand up, won't even be heard. They'll make sure there's no, every rule's broken, that they throw your case, that the attorneys are on both sides. It's a nightmare. When it comes down to the times where you could make a difference, how heavy they shut down. That includes your relationships in your life. Every single time in my life for decades now, if a woman came to me, a girl that had asked me out, 2 weeks later, she's approached by agents and told, people should know, don't work with Tom, he's evil, every talking point's thrown, and she breaks it off because she has doubts. They want you singled out literally, and single in life. That has happened every single time, and I can give you names from Lehua on Maui to Toby, who's a darling of Disney, from Williamsburg, from Rockefeller's group, to Kirsten Leslie, who was then taken by Spielberg's guy who had dated me. It's like on and on and on and on and on it goes. Every person. And these are people that sought me out. So that's what, and it goes on from Jackie, you know, Desiree, it goes on and on and on. Caroline, all these women that came to me. So if my life had been allowed to run normally, I could have been married 50 times over by women asking me out and wanting to have a relationship seriously. Each one the agencies got involved in. Approach, sometimes 2.5 hours talks, sometimes groups like on Maui at the EAL Theater on Maui. Michael Pulser, whatever his name is, and these guys, Brian Connolly, all working for these groups, coming together in group massing, approaching publicly any girl that was interesting or posted something nice about me. So they destroy your life. It's called destroying your life. The courts, same thing. Probably their own attorneys, make sure the media that they have runs you in the ground. GMZ owned by Warner Brothers, then Hollywood Reporter. Only the negative things are shown, and the positive is edited out. And they say that you lost and you didn't try to reach for comment. Yes, you did. It's just all a circus. And so this whole thing, like you said about the glasses, and this idea that, you know, you see the subliminal messages, they've been putting up things like he lost his case, she lost his case. They're nobody. They're, you know, they're somebody who should be paid attention to. That's been going on for so long now, and they've been playing an organ. They brag about it to you to try to get you on the dark side. It's so hard. It's so hard.
I think it's so important to understand these things and understand that it's happening, you know, because this is all part of our awakening process. When we look at, and I'm loving, I have to say to all you viewers, and by the way, hello, everybody. Really good to see you all. So nice to see you. And Captain of my soul, you're such a star-studded, I want to say girl, but maybe not girl, maybe guy. Thank you so much. I appreciate your sticker very much. Anyway, but what I was saying is, it is so important to be able to see what's going on, be aware. You know, more and more people are now going to, you know, we've had so many decodes on symbolism around the pedos and their stuff, you know, on the Masons, on how they dress, what they wear, their handshakes, the rings, the gadgets, the wreaths, the whatever. So we are...
Yeah, jewelry.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're understanding more and more who's involved simply by observing. And now we're also understanding more and more with the symbolism that they're putting out there, and now understanding it's not just symbolism that our eyes see. There's also a lot of symbolism behind the scenes, like as we said, the stuff that our eyes don't see. And I want to just say as well, Jessie has, especially in recent interviews, spoken about the fact that, of course, we are not just physical. We are multidimensional beings, and we live on a multidimensional planet. Mm-hmm. So there's so much we don't know. And when we start becoming aware of this, then our eyes start opening to the things that we need to see that are subliminal. So then we can start seeing these things quicker, understanding that spending 23 hours of 24 out of on your cell phone every day, or on computers or on stuff, is really, really bad, not just for everyone, but for you, because it means you've completely disconnected. Mm-hmm. And when you're disconnected, you've bought into that, call it the AI world, because that's really where it's taking you, right? And, and just for us to actually awaken and see what is going on. I'm interested to know, though, like when you're looking at the movies and stuff you've been involved in, and you can see, like, let's say The Matrix, for example, which is your most, I think, well-known.
Yeah.
What, if we're looking at that movie, what should we be looking for in terms of, let's talk it, whether it's subliminal or out there signaling? Right. What would it be necessary to look for, from your opinion? And I mean, let's talk about the grade 1 child here, right? Because even though many are adults, the more adult we are, I think the more layers we have over our eyes. Sometimes it's the kids that see the truth way before we do. I'd say first listen to your kids and listen to what they're saying. But I'd just be interested to hear your point on that, or your take on that, Tom.
I think it's such a great question. I've never been asked that before. And it hits right back to the creation of it. Like when I hold this up, they don't like that because they always say it's a forgery. Really, seriously. It's like, here, this work right here. The idea was, again, we said whisper through art. So what's in there? The idea is that we see ourselves as children, that really we don't live that long, and we really are not that developed as far as knowledge, like Jessie was saying, right? There's so much more. And the thing is, in it, you actually have the child becoming an older woman and dying of Alzheimer's, and her daddy, Neo, comes back and hasn't aged and sees her like this. And they use that, of course, Interstellar and everything. But the idea is that if we look at ourselves childlike, become childlike again, and see with the wonderment and things like this, we will break the codes. We will see through. We will have those glasses to see what's going on.
Like absolutely. And some people, some people have these gifts naturally, right? Mm-hmm. So again, there are people out there who do see these things without the glasses, right? So the average human would probably still need the glasses, I would imagine. But it's really about seeing what's happening and really what actions more than words. And as you say, going back to that childlike state where you're happy, you're in joy, you believing again, there's hope. Hope is a very, very big one that we need to hold on to. I don't even want to say hold on to, because hold on to sort of symbolizes that, but cultivate within ourselves. We've got to believe and we have to have faith. I think that more than anything right now is what's going to carry us through that. But we're not going to have that faith in ourselves, in our own personal consciousness, as long as we stuck to this 24/7. That's not going to happen, because your entire frequency is already messed up. So we've got to be aware of these things. We've got to catch a wake-up call, basically. Yeah.
Well, children also, appreciate what you said. Children also, when you listen to them talk, when they're facing injustice, they cut through. They have not been programmed to accept other people's suffering yet. What happens is they actually will say things like, well, that's not fair. They took their toy, and that's not right. They should give it back. They're very logical, but then they get this series on them where they're told, just let it go. Don't worry about it. That's how life is. There's nothing you can do. You'll figure it out when you grow up. They're told because I said so. The children often will have a very definitive logic about what's right, what's wrong, and that is messed with by the adults often into this caging of ourselves. Well, you have to accept that's the way things are. That's always going to be that way. It's not, it never is. It's incredible how adults do that often, and how the programming is pushed. What the elite do is push through parents on their kids. It's unbelievable. And it's like, when you look at like you just raised something I think also is important. The lion's paw, right? Now I'm doing it. Lion's paw of the Masons, right? Now the Masons is part of the cabal now. So they're all one group, united, doing this stuff. I know that because the CIA operatives were in the Masons. This figure, this form right here, is like a tense grab at lion, predator. It's like this symbol. Instead of this, like I said, this came to me and it keeps coming to me. The Iron Age burial position of the hands is receiving. It's open. It receives. It accepts. It the childlike wonder accepting. And that's what I see the difference of this and this. When my hand aches. This is the greeting. That's the greeting. That's the secret sign. And what was Pat Robertson doing in the picture? It was Newsweek or something. Showing it because he's afraid. He's showing that I'm part of this massive organization of men that will stand for each other. And if you disobey us, you will die as Tom's son did Kirk in the shallows of the waters, a traitor. When we tried to blackball Tom out, we killed his son in the shallows, which is the vow you take. If I betray the Masons in any way, and you're saying as a supplicant, that I will be disemboweled and die a cable's length of from shore in the shallows, as Tom's son Kirk was killed. So that's the cabal, and all their parts are part of it, and they infiltrate every area, including, I'm not trying to generate a storm here, but hosts have been planted. Documentary teams have been offered that are actually part of something bad. Q is not a good group. I was fooled by Q. Q took me in and said they'd do my documentary and just ran the clock out. They're not a good group.
But what, in your opinion, I'd actually be interested in hearing what you have to say about Q, because I mean, I know there's a whole big.
You want me to say what it is? I'd say they're cowards. They're cowards who are sold out, bought out, working for the system, working for the cabal, guised in sheep's wool. Q sent so many things to me, had me out to visit him, had me out, wined and dined, had me sit around a campfire, told me all these things, embraced me, shot footage. I was introduced to Q because I was being brought into the inside. So, oh my gosh, and the things they'll tell you to bring you in. They all play like they're your best friend. And I thought, oh, it's an honor to meet these guys that are, behind the scenes. And they showed me all these posts they had done and everything. All part of the plan and strategy to fool the world. And I'm not fooled. I'm not fooled because I didn't give in. And they made offers too. They also offered, besides everything else coming out and righted, they offered me a woman, a beautiful woman there, who came up to me, hugged me, talked to me, gave me a stone to carry, and was saying how she was so afraid of me coming out because of the power I held or something. What the hell? And then, but now she sees me. Unbelievable. Then you get that famous phrase while we're sitting around the fire and she sits next to you. She goes, we'll meet again. We'll talk again. They always say that. Like what happened with Spielberg's a guy named Peter from New York, who was working for trying to have a contract with me, with my work, right? The Immortals, do a contract with Spielberg and him. And what happens? We go, like I said, we go to that cafe. The woman comes up, and they must have a weird view of how I view women, because she's dressed like 1950s poodle skirt almost. And she comes up, and she's sitting there in this like spring dress, like I guess it's like Stepford Wife, label. And it's like, line of clothing. And she's sitting there like a Stepford Wife dressed. And she's not saying a word, not a word. What, submissive? Robertson's thing with the Stepford Wives? And then at the end of that cafe meeting, where she's sitting right next to me, up against me, and I'm like, okay, ignoring it. then Peter says to me, Spielberg's guy says to me after that cafe, she walks off, she goes, "You'll be seeing her again." So watch for that phrase. If you're being targeted as being to be brought in by the cabal, you're going to have women played like pawns on you that are supposed to look like what you would want, as if they're forgetting about that layer of what we like in people, a connection, a freedom to enjoy each other as choice to be together, you know, not submitted and applied or having lines to say. So it's like, you know, I'll be seeing her again. I don't want to see her again. I don't want to be in that situation where someone's forced. What happened to Pat Robertson's organization? Christine, beautiful girl, comes up when I'm being groomed to be the face of the Christian Coalition. I'm supposed to be with you. I'm to be with you. I'm to be yours. Beautiful girl. Incredible girl. Yeah. There they got it right. She looks the part. She says she's intelligent. But I don't want somebody with a robot job, you know, that doesn't have a choice. I don't want to be married to somebody, even if that's make me look good image-wise when I'm the face of the Christian Coalition. They don't want to miss a beat, do they? But how come the women in my situation, well, probably men for women too, are always employed to be what you need? Wow. That's scary that they go to that level of control. And any woman that naturally comes to me is approached. He's evil. He's evil. Don't want to be with, you know, why don't you tell that to the ones being groomed to come to me? You know, if that's your take. Like, it goes that big. It's that deep. Now, not everybody's going to experience this because they're going to go for those that have certain, this isn't touting a horn. It's just those that have work that they're concerned about that could reveal everything. It's right here. It's all here. That's why they have all the takes of it. That's why Game of Thrones, we now know, is filled with it. All those, oh my gosh, even my birthmark on my left thigh, under it, that wine-colored birthmark is what they show on a Night of Flowers. Exactly the same place, same shape, same color. That's how you identify a body, like we said. So anyway, I am, yes, I'm amazed at how far they go, but childlike wonder shreds them. Because childlike wonder also includes compassion to fuel childlike wonder. You have to have compassion for all life. And that is what they do not have. You look at what they do not have, how we can prevail. The world's going to be a better place if those of us all have the childlike wonder succeed. When we succeed, it'll be a better place because our very natures. So,
yeah.
Anyway, they're saying more and more Tom looks angry. I'm like, I'm very passionate about what's going on. And that's their calling card again, you know, the anger card. Really? Seriously, guys? Listen to my sister rage. But it's like, we are trying to get things done, get the house in order, get it so it's safe for the kids to play again. We want the strange dangers away, right? We want the Tom Hanks back in their cages. Yeah. And the Spielbergs.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's really interesting because we obviously know that a lot of these people are the puppets, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, probably all of them that you're dealing with. I mean, they're just puppets of puppets, really. But at the end of the day, you know, again, looking at the Matrix, what if we say become childlike? Because I agree with you, that wonderment, that innocence, right? That lovely sense of freedom that, well, a child born into normal circumstances would feel. What would you say would be the steps, you know, for people to take from here? What steps do people take to counteract that?
Oh, that's a beautiful question. Beautiful question.
Yeah.
You look for the subliminals that they don't want you to see. So what you do is whatever they're most afraid of being addressed, surfacing, being shown, being made right through the court systems, we look at, we address, we bring forward, we share. Whatever they're most concerned about, reveal. And it's easy to spot.
I agree.
Shut it down.
I agree. Sorry to chime in there, but I really do agree with that, because every lie that is hidden is gives power, and you know, to that system, because the system is built on secrets and lies, and that's pretty much what the entire system is built on.
Yes.
And we also know that nothing lasting or falsities cannot last, right? It's only going to last for so long, and before then it's going to come tumbling down. So really, I think right here at this moment, it's about revealing, exposing, and people being truthful. And, you know, we might talk about, oh, well, I don't know anyone in the system, or it's not. It begins with yourself. It's about that first step to self-awareness. You know, once we take that step to self-awareness, we are then able to discern from that point where we need to go and which direction we need to head. But it really is truth. And obviously, if there is stuff that needs to be exposed, whether it's on a national, global level, or just within the family, that is what needs to happen. We've got to start being truthful. And because, you know, as the Bible says, the truth shall set you free. Right. As simple as that for me.
Right, Shanti. No more behind closed doors. In fact, all court cases should be public knowledge, accessible. All court cases, every argument in the court should be recorded. No more using this system of injustice to shut down the truth. We need to see how they monkey in the courts, how they play it. And also, the plan for the Neuralink is that they're going to eliminate certain people, and they're going to have all people with Neuralink. And we're supposed to realize that we're all dark in the center. Look at those thoughts surfacing. Oh my gosh, we're all dark. No, we're not. Many of us have been trained to keep a childlike mind, to keep a free mind, free of vice, free of ill thought or bad intention. It's like you go into a mind that's actually of a remnant, as I call it, remnant people who are actually scattered and have good hearts that I was trying to bring together, people with good compassion. You're not going to find the darkness. You won't. You may find occasional thought slip in, but they're not going to be plotting, wishing malice. It's going to, instead of it being a universal thing that they're counting on, where everybody has the darkness, they're going to see quite a discrepancy. You're going to see almost like a threshing floor, like it says in the Bible, the chaff and the wheat. You're going to see people who actually have been down, sown, salt of the earth, good people, all over the place, good people. You're going to see princes and princesses among what you thought was common people. You're going to see people that are just brilliant hearts, and that's going to be revealed also in their process. They're going to try to shut that down too, and only show you the bad. But the thing is, we need to have the doors open, the cave opened up, the walls blasted out. We need to be able to see what really is going on, because then they can't keep their mask. They can't hide behind the mask anymore.
So if we're looking at the Matrix or the Immortals, I'm going to call it the Matrix because that's the point that I give reference to regarding this. Whereabouts would we be now if you had to look at humanity and the Matrix? Where are we within that system generally, the majority of? And, you know, I know that this is really a time where we're choosing, because third dimension is really, you know, the greatest gift that God has given us is free will and choice. So we get to choose whether we follow service to others or service to self. Service to self is really going down the dark spirals. Service to others is really going into fourth dimension on a positive level, right?
Right.
So I'd be interested to know, into just your take on that.
My take is this: it was actually written for every person to have their own experience and just determine what it means for them. And so it was actually meant that way. So each person is a universe in this, basically. Each person out here, those of us joined together here, you make the difference of where we are in the story. And so we're all over the place in the story, where the other side will say we went backwards. They infiltrated the story. It's like a movie where they went into the story and turned it upside down and basically back in time rewrote the timeline. So we ended up in hell. But what happens is that Neo is destroyed, caged, being brought in, going to turn on you is what they're trying to do for the final solution of it. But actually, different people, each of us, have a different take on where we are, because it's meant to be that way. So each person can have us winning this. Each person can have us losing this. So we are on every single page right now. Every single page, basically, where God bless those that it was written for, to call them, like I said, remnant, because the remnant will take us home. I use that term because it's through the Bible how many times? And it's actually in the screenplay, the remnant. That's why Trinity is called Trinity. But
I love what you actually said there, Tom, when you were talking about, each person is their pretty much their own matrix or not, because it really is true. It's up to each person, because as each person comes to their realization of what's happening, it's like the little popcorn starts popping, right? When you're making popcorn. I don't know if you guys make popcorn. I love making my own popcorn. And it's such a good feeling when it starts popping, right? So it's almost, I see it like that. As everyone starts realizing what it is they need to do to be, then so everything just starts opening up, and more truths start getting revealed, because us bringing truth here in South Africa and America creates a ripple effect that could in fact have an effect on someone way down in China, for we know, that they respond to as well. So they, again, talking about that subliminal programming we were talking about at the beginning of the show, where there's lots of these messages that are put out there for us to really buy into. But also, by the same token, the opposite of that is really just understanding we are all connected, and we are all connected to a much greater force than that as well. We connected to God, we connected to the divine, to our creator. So when we tuned into that, we automatically disconnect from these guys telling us to obey, walk, do, purchase, spend money. That's all that we kind of programmed to do, because that, as I've said so often, keeps us enslaved. But when we start reconnecting to the divine again, or to God, we're then going to understand things very differently. And that's when we get out of our own matrix, because then we're working hand in hand with our creator.
And each other. You're absolutely right. I got the image of the eyes going pop, pop, open, 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 all over the place. And it's like this idea. Remember the field of pods, and Neo wakes up in the pod, and he's pubed in fluids. The thing that's sterilized out of that scene is, what if Neo is waking from the pods and he sees other people waking from the pods? What they don't want is us working together to help each other, to help the children, to help each other, to help our elderly, to make a difference. They don't want us doing it. Yeah.
It's so funny, because if you look at the whole story with Neo and the Matrix, I mean, how many people can actually identify with Neo, right? There's so many people who in their own world can identify with being Neo or waking up or whatever. So really, if you take that template and apply it to your own life, that's what it's intended for, the way I see it. You are Neo, actually, if you want to look at it that way. In your own life, right? You're the one that awakens and sees the truth and transcends everything that is going on.
And what do those Neos do? Neoettes and Neos, we help each other. The author they named me Neo. They say that. They'll talk to me like that way, because Thomas A. Anderson, here I am. They put me in my own film, they said. And so when I wrote the characters modeled after the actual author, so I am Neo. I am him. You ask a question, what was Neo thinking? Where was it coming from? It's my story. It was given to me, true. So I can tell it. That's where we win too, is they know that. That's why they're courting me to bring me back in. They would love to have Neo working against the free people. They would love that. Yeah. And notice in Game of Thrones, they talk about the free people, the people beyond the wall, the people beyond the wall that are cut off in the north. There's symbolism there on purpose by Warner Brothers and HBO to say you are cut off by our wall. The curtain. And so that's, it's and there's even saying King Tommen is going to commit suicide, they said, because of his loved ones being killed. That's in Game of Thrones. The red-headed queen that has perfected the art of tearing up documents, as Julia Zarco, my sister, who we called the red-headed queen, would tear up the diagnoses and things. Perfected the art of it. And they even say one of the worst person on the planet. Yeah, she has become that with all the rewards she got. But it goes on and on with the birthmark, like we said, to everything else is in there. They're putting it in plain sight before us. So if we open our eyes all together and take a look at our leadership, natural leadership order, that we can get ourselves out of this mess, across the Red Sea, part the mountains, and get out of hell. It's already there. Look at who they groomed and who they're trying to offer to bring in on their side. They're trying to take your most potent people and employ them against you. That's what they're doing. That's why you'll get these interruptions on broadcast. That's why I'm continually offered stuff while my sons were killed. It's supposed to make me more pliable and compliant. That my last son, Tom, come on board. Look how serious this is. When you lay out the chess game, you see what's going on. They're afraid of our leaders, that if the timeline had been unscathed, we would be these leaders. You and I also, and many people listening, we would be the ones leading. Why are you all here together? I think it's a leadership call. It's like those that would be leaders. Look at the comments of people listening, these dear people. Look at these comments. It's like we're a group of leaders. That's what we are, for a better world, looking for that better world.
That's what I said. You know, when I'm speaking about like coming out of the matrix, it really makes sense to me. As you say, it's for each person individually, you know, to create their way to come out. And as you say, like the popping of the popcorn, imagine looking around you and seeing everyone around you. And when Neo thought he was so alone, how many people haven't I heard say, I feel so alone, I feel so alone, you know, there's no one around me who speaks my language or whatever. So that's why I say we can all identify with that, right? We can all identify with that feeling of isolation and having someone, something, the system, whatever it is, fighting against us. So this is really, so when we transcend that sense of entrapment, and that entrapment really is that we've opened our eyes sufficiently enough to see how we've been subliminally programmed, how deceptive this web, the spider has been weaving her web around us, right? For so long. And now we just wake up just in time to realize, hey, what are you doing? I'm getting out of here. Thank you very much. Right. Some of us might unfortunately be very well embedded already, which might be more tricky depending on every person's situation, right? But I think it really is a time for coming out of that cocoon. We've been cocooned.
Absolutely.
Think about it as cocooned. That's what I say.
I think too, what you just made me think of is we need a healing system in the better world that's going to come. There will be a better world coming. We wrote the stories. We're telling our stories are the way, and we've been allowed to give them these stories. I think in the future we need a group of people, not psych people. We need listeners. We need a group of people that can be called the listeners. And so many people I know have stories out there, and they need to be heard. They need to be listened to. They need to know that someone actually cares. I can't imagine what it would be like to have this story or a story like these people out there that no one hears. No one's hearing. It makes it feel like it's not doing any good. You're just living and dying with it. And I think it's important that everybody be listened to. Everybody gets to tell their story. This is essential. And that's part of the tactic of the cabal, is to shut down the telling, to shut down the being heard, to break us. They isolate us, like you said, and then keep us from being heard. That's hell. That's hell.
True.
That's hell. And so for anyone out there that have the stories, it turns out that we're not your best candidates to tell your stories to, because we're fighting to save things by telling our story. So the mindset needs to be understood that if I can say, Shanti, you and I both, if I may, just that many people will call me and want to tell their story, and they go on and on and on and on. And I hate the phrase, I don't have the time. but I care, but I can't demonstrate that caring this way because it's not going to go anywhere. I'm the wrong person because I'm telling a story that needs to be told to save our world and save the kids. And I can't be reading other people's books right now. I got to finish the story, right? And so I want a place where people can go with their stories, that they can be heard by people that can hear them and do something with their story, right? Because I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy. I am trying to save people from the burning building, like I said. I can't stop in the middle of the burning building and listen to a story. I got to finish what I got to do. And so I hope people understand that, because I'll get inundated with this lengthy stuff, and I care, which makes me feel guilty and bad. So I'm not the person to tell the stories to. I've got a story I got to tell that will be key, and others do too. And we got to get the key stories out. But these other stories, other people, their stories are important also. Just the wrong guy to tell it to. Just I got to do my job, right? So that makes sense. That I'd like to split myself in half and go, here's Tom, the listener, who's a good listener, and I want to hear everybody's story. And here's Tom, the guy that gets it done. Because think of me in the fireman's outfit. I got to get the flames out, and I got to use every minute I got. And this is part of this right here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I feel for people that want to tell me the story. And if you look at my phone, I won't show it, but on my phone you'll see entries that are like, they're going forever. What is expected of us? What am I to do with that? Right? It's a frustration. And I want people to get the idea that we need people in place that they can go to, because I'm not the guy. I'm not the guy.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yes, and I think, really at the end of the day, what stuff like that always indicates to me is that we're ready to create this community.
Yes.
So for me, it then would, that would be an indicator that says to us, okay, well, if you're getting a lot of people wanting to tell their story, maybe we should invite them on the show to tell their story.
Yes.
So,
it'll do good. Give them that moment. They get to share it. That's exactly what I'm saying. Because doing it private to me is not going to work. I'm going to be thinking about, I got to save my kid. I got to get the next thing done. I'm not going to give them the attention they deserve. When this is done and we're doing classes and things, I'll be able to have lunch with people, sit down and hear their story over lunch, not over the cold AI system. I can't see your eyes. I can't see your eyes. I can't communicate with you. I can't connect with you over something so cold and sterile. Right? It's all frustration. So that's what I'm saying.
Exactly. I think, we're living in the times where I would like to say as well, I'm going to use AI to my advantage as much as what I can, or technology. So without technology or anything like that, we wouldn't be able to have these conversations. So for me, I'm super grateful for that. And that when people start speaking and start expressing themselves, and maybe, form a community, a group where people are able to start sharing, asking questions, that we can do that, And I want to actually, that's kind of like part of what I'd like to, heading towards, is that we really actually start a community where we are able to talk, we are able to find each other in chat rooms. But guys, I'm working towards that. Everything at this point in time is I've just moved as well, but I've got lots of ideas in my head of how we can find a space that we can communicate and really just form a community, because there are really a lot of people who do have stories to tell. And a lot of people, because their confidence is not good, or they don't feel they experience something as extreme as an SRA survivor, for example, feels that maybe that's insignificant. Nothing is insignificant, All of us are our little piece of this beautiful, rich tapestry. We all form that thread in this tapestry of life, which is amazing. And I think that more and more we need to start doing that. And I know we also planning to do the thing with the old people. And again, I'll put it out there for you guys who've got grannies or grandpas or great grannies or great grandpas, or you may be, right? But you got to be a senior citizen, okay? No cheating. and if you guys have some stories, stories to tell, wisdom to share, something like that. I think it'd be really cool to maybe do a little video clip of a minute or two, send it to me. We can pop it on the channel, and we can then start getting stories out like that, which I think would be amazing. So I'm actually putting that out there now, especially with the old people.
Good.
If we have senior citizens and you guys want to take a video, few minutes or in parts or whatever, of course we can't play it too long, so keep it short and succinct. If there's someone that who has a beautiful story of inspiration, hope, challenge, whatever that our viewers would like to, I think that would be really cool to do something like that.
What this does, Shanti, too, is just so amazing. When I was growing up, they had a Who's Who publication. Maybe some of you remember this. A Who's Who. And as a child, I was exposed to the Who's Who. And you're only somebody if you're in the Who's Who. You're supposed to be the top people in the country, in the world. It's like, what an audacious, what a terrible thing to do. The elite had a Who's Who. And so what you're doing is, what we're going to be doing together, I understand, is we'll have a Who's Who that's not the elites. It'll be humanity. And what I look forward to is a community, like you're saying, and educating and things like that, and learning as we go too, where we look in each person's eyes and we know who you are, and we know your story, and we know, and you can see it when we look at you, that we know your story, that we can look around the room and go, eyes, eyes, eyes. I saw it in the Band of Brothers when before the first airborne, God bless them all, had boarded on the plane. Winters took each one by the hand and looked in their eyes. Each one by the hand and looked in their eyes before they boarded that flight to invade Germany. And I'm thinking about that, thinking that's what we're going to have, is we will look in each person's eyes and look in ours. We'll know your story. We'll know it. There'll be that connection. That's what the other side doesn't want. Going right back to the whole movie you talked about from 1988. They don't want that. Looking in each other's eyes and knowing each other's stories, the way we can set a new world. Because pretty soon,
I really want to encourage you guys. In fact, it's on YouTube, and it's just there. It's available on YouTube to watch. I thought you had to buy it or something, but I just Googled it, or I just went onto YouTube and I just tapped it in, and there it popped up. It's called They Live, and it's from 1988. Really very interesting, because it's so significant of what's happening now. And they've been telling us for a long time, but of course we've been asleep for a long time as well.
You said about Matrix, Shanti, you said about Matrix. In the story of the Matrix, the original one, it says in here where the Neuralink's cut and what matters when everything's gone, and the Trinity character in the original work says to him, you think on what matters. And that's each other. You think on what matters. Your loved ones, your connections. And we all here are connected. And what's interesting is, and what's very sad, is on Maui. I don't know if I can say this without crying. I don't cry a lot, but where to keep that feeling? They found a young boy. They found a young boy holding his dog. And that's what mattered. So in our terrible, I'm sorry.
No, time
in our terrible time, these terrible times, what matters? We each matter. Let's hold each other. Let's look at each other's eyes. We matter together, only together. And so that poor boy, his last moment was with his dog. He knew what mattered. The life across from him, their life together. That's what the cabal doesn't want.
That's actually really beautiful. It's actually really beautiful. I think that should be revered, that picture, or that thought in your mind, even not the picture. I think the picture could be
do a sculpture, something. Let's honor that.
Yeah.
Honor our connected lives and that young boy and that puppy. Let's honor what matters, and let's make it visual. Let's lift it.
Yeah,
Bless them.
absolutely.
God bless them. And let's never stop feeling for them. And let's
Yeah.
not be ashamed to show it publicly how we feel. When those people go to Lahaina, the tourists and others, and they're just playing, how can you do that? How can you do that? You should be feeling it. If you don't feel it, you disconnected from life. You disconnected from every gift that you hold and have been given and blessed with. The gift to feel, the gift to connect, the gift to care, the gift to have compassion. This the cabal does not understand, so they're destined to fall. They will fall because they cannot feel. My sister will fall because she cannot feel. She murdered my dad. We feel.
Well, I'm not surprised you can't feel, because quite frankly, after you've done something that atrocious, you better lock those feelings away, because otherwise you're going to drive yourself crazy. That's for sure.
That's what they do. They put the veneer of superiority, that mask, and then they call it putting the feelings in the freezer. That's the requirement by the agencies. You're to put your feelings in the freezer. I've been told the same thing. I said I couldn't do it. Remember when the guy on Maui at the Masons, Lauren Holmberg, the operative, said to me, just don't try to make a difference. Just don't try to make a difference. I have evidence. They're telling me all the things I would have. That's the same thing. Just don't feel for the others. Don't try to help the others. That is what the agencies will tell you. Yeah. So anybody who's in the agencies has been told something akin to this, at least. That's what they're told. If not, they'll be shown it in time as things go on. So it's time to have new agencies. Yeah.
Life will teach them. Life will teach them. That's for sure.
Jan's saying the dog understood that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, I would lay money on it. The dog probably comforted the boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Let's not lose these stories. Let's not lose the beauty of connection and humanity. Let's cry on camera. Let's hug in person. Let's look around the room and see each other's eyes and see the beauty of who each other are. And let's not do it this way. Scrap that. So thanks for this. Thank you. I know I cry a lot, but the thing is, we're to feel. We're made to feel. And when we lose that gift, we lost a large part of our life.
Yeah.
Think on what matters. Think on what matters. And I would ask people today to look at that question. What matters? You want to beat the cabal? Think on what matters. And let them know.
So true. And that's where, it comes in again. You just got to clean up your own doorstep first, right? So sort out what's happening in your personal space, your home space,
right?
All of that. And then the rest can, you take it from there. It's important that every individual is strong. Feeling, that's the whole thing. I mean, when we talk about spiritual warfare, we can't deny that there's definitely a war of sorts in the heavenlies. That's the only way I can put it, right? There's crazy stuff going down. So we have to realize that, this is energy that becomes physical as well. So by being connected, as you say, kind to each other, forming our communities, that's exactly where our power lies.
Our school systems, you just made me think of this. Our school systems, think of any of us, think about being the child back in school. Our school systems teach us, unless it's some Montessori or something, that we're not to show feeling among our peers. If we show feeling, we'll be bullied. We're not to show feelings. If I, as an adult, demonstrated this feeling at a classroom among students, I'd be mocked to death. Yeah. Our kids are taught to shut the feelings away, to be good robots for the state. Even dynamic society of the schools. Where are the teachers that are going to encourage real feeling? That should be the development into adulthood, where the adults then are learning how to be really feeling things and expressing feelings rather than shutting them away. Our school systems messed up. Yeah. We're not teaching kids to.
Well, I think what I am enjoying, I must say, when I'm looking out there in the world. There's more and more men who are talking about these sorts of things, being good partners, being great dads, getting more connected with the emotional aspect of their parental role. I think it's really cool, actually. We are changing, even though there's such a crazy aspect to the world right now when we look at what's happening with people cutting their boobs off and whatever. And I don't know. It's really, it's we're under siege. We know that, but it really is amazing that we can still understand that we connected, and the more we connect with each other. And I say this all the time. I'm sounding like a stuck record.
Right. It's fine.
That's really it's about discernment.
I'd like
to got to discern.
Make a message to men. Sorry, make a message to men right now, because I know there's guys out there that feel the same way I do. I doing shows all the time. I'll come across many different hosts, right? And I've seen some where some men seem to be competing for their attention. And I'm like, what's going on? Back to that age-old thing of men claiming, and even in the Christian community, like I've said before, that it's all about sex or having the woman want you. That is not the drive. I would ask men, anyone still trapped in that weak mentality, to think of it this way. How about, instead of getting the woman's attention, that makes you feel better about yourself, how about the idea of that a child will see me as genuine? I want to be the man that children will see me as a genuine masculine role model, that I will be strong for them, that they can trust me, they can count on me. How about looking at it that way? Instead of trying to get the women to love you, how about thinking about, I want children to be able to trust me and see who I genuinely am, that I'm genuinely there for them, and I'll always be there for them, that they can count on a protection from me, an understanding from me as a man, that I'm going to be there for them, that I value their thoughts, their hearts, and their safety. How about that as a framing for what makes us operate publicly?
Yeah, no, I fully agree. And that's really where we headed. I do believe that, and I think there's, once we make that shift out of this space, it's not about going to another planet or the aliens coming to fetch us. I say that a lot as well. We really raise our frequency to the point that Earth has so many different layers and dimensions. We really just move to a different dimension on Earth where these things are not affecting us anymore. So that's really what, and then, we start building our communities in the higher frequencies as well. And really, I think that's what we need to be doing.
Well, back to school, real quick, back to school, the phrase, if I was a child, I throw this to anyone listening with us as a community here. If I was a child back in school and I had male role models that actually weren't looking at ladies' skirts, but actually looking at us as children that were worth standing for, protecting, and encouraging, that would change our world to a large degree. Our education system filled with men that are there for the children in the genuine way a man is supposed to be, rather than chasing skirts. That'll be nice. And shame on all the teachers that are males that pursued the women teachers in front of the students. You said we didn't matter. You made the message clear. You're all about yourself. Yeah. Wow. Thanks for nothing. For those that actually have been, like Mr. Binkley, I'll say a name. Mr. Binkley was a Tamanin, a true man. Mr. My Ariello, brilliant man at Tamanin. I'm just going to say this. There are some good people that had to swim in a cesspool of male hormones out there. God bless the men that are truly men. And our world will change with women calling men to accountability. Show us what real men should be. You hold the cards to say, be a guy, be the true man. Show me by the way you treat the children, and do it genuinely. Get men back on the right track. Yeah.
And on that note, I just have to say, there's a lady in the chat, Laura Seegers. I'm going to name you. Laura Seegers used to be at the same school as me. She was a few years ahead, and her father was a teacher there. And I have to say, talking about teachers, He was amazing. I have to say, Laura, your dad was incredible. And now when I went back to Union High at our school reunion, I want to just ask you, have you seen what the new science lab looks like? Her dad was a science teacher. And the new science lab is so sussed out. I mean, it's like amazing. So talking of teachers, I just had to give a shout out to one that was very cool. Yeah, we loved it a lot.
I want to lift those that actually do care and have been examples, and just mentioning them today on your program. It's like they stay with us. What they do stays with us. You do shape children, and you remain in our memory till we're on our deathbed. You will have shaped us. And I have children tell me the same thing from Montessori. You know, young men, young women that then grow up and say they're helping others because they were in classes with us, you know, and they realize that we actually genuinely cared. And you'll see a child take you through a testing situation to see if you actually do.
Yeah.
And, you know, I had the good blessing.
I know, boy, we're going to push them, right? A kid is going to push the teacher's button.
Oh my gosh. That's why when we do the class thing together, when we go out there and do the classes together, I look forward to doing children's classes with you too. I would like to do that also, and just give their wisdom, let them speak. Anyway, thank you for this, Shanti. Thank you.
Yeah, I just got Laura just saying back. Lots of former pupils have such good memories of him, and they tell me he was a humble man, but his memory is great. Really, he was lovely. Honestly, we loved him.
Nothing like a lovely man that actually cares. Yeah. You make ripples throughout time. Yeah.
He didn't shout off, but when he did, oh my goodness. Then we shut up. Padre, yep, Padre. You see? I didn't want to say his nickname, but he had a long white beard. We used to call him Padre.
I like the typo on the one that says lean to fish for a lifetime. And that kind of thing opens the mind too. I love it. The typo thing. I love typos because they actually open up that creative side, you know, like lean to fish for a lifetime. Like, I like that. That's great. Thank you for this. Thank you for great. This is great. So
well, guys, slowly but surely we'll be getting out the matrix step by step. You know, and really we do it through, you know, and I think it's such a fine line to discern when we say we do it with love. It doesn't mean that we just like ooey gooey sit there and yes, love is the energy and it holds so many different layers to it, right? But love also means you stand up. Love means you absolutely say no. Love means you say, hang on, I need to do something here. So that'll be love for myself, my kids, my family, my community, whatever it might be. Love is really standing up and taking the right action. So it's really important that we at this time look at taking right action. Because when we take right action, we're obviously going to have different results.
Right, Shanti. And also someday I want to talk about, because something that the other side throws us all the time is the angry card. I'd like to talk about anger someday. And what is good anger? Why is anger? Why do we have it part of our makeup? What is anger for? And how come the other side thinks they have the market on anger? And they can use it to try to saddle us and control us and use that card all the time. You're angry, you're angry. That's the thing they throw all the time. Well, I'd love to discuss anger someday. And we
can maybe talk about, well, we should talk about it next week because it really is a topic, because anger is also a good thing. It just depends what you do with it, right? Anger will catapult you into making good decisions and coming out of a depressed state. You know, when people are in depression, and I have clients that are in depression, when they first start feeling frustration and anger, I'll never forget, I was working in Namibia, right? I have to tell you this story quite a few years ago. And then I'd go every 3 months or 6 months or whatever. And then this girl that I worked with was super, super, super depressed. And it was really difficult to get her out of that space. So I was working with her quite a bit, you know, just to get her into that mode where she could feel free again. And then at the next trip, I arrived that afternoon. So I'm just in the grocery store. in Namibia, in a little Swakopmund in Namibia. And the next minute, there she is in the shopping store or in the mall, marches up to me. She says, "Hey, Chantelle, I'm glad to see you back. I just want to tell you I'm very, very angry with you."
Oh.
You know what? When you do this kind of work, you are the brunt of anger, but you got to realize it's not actually directed at you. Right. But I said, that is the best news I've heard this year.
She broke it off. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the anger was all of that suppressed emotion really coming out. But of course, anger all the time used to control is not a good thing. So you got to learn how to moderate. But anyway, we will talk about that in our next show. That's actually a good topic to have. So yes, I want to say thank you to everybody for joining us. Always such a cool crowd here on a Tuesday night. And so good to see you, Laura, reminding us of your wonderful father, Padre. And I have to tell you, we used to jump out of the back window of the science lab. It was so fun. And then we come in again. I wouldn't understand where we went.
That's cool.
Lovely.
Freedom. Yeah. Love it.
Okay. Tom, is there anything else you'd like to say before we end off?
I love the group here. I love the community. I love this whole thing where, we're all talking together, and it's like, and we're free to bring forward what we feel, and we're not judging each other. We're just saying, look, let's try to find a way out of the cave. Let's find a better way. And I'm glad we're doing that. We got our lamps on and we're exploring ways out of the cave, and we're going to get out. We're going to find a way out. Yeah.
Yeah, indeed. And on that note, I'm going to bid everybody farewell and wish you a beautiful rest of your Tuesday. For me, it's almost bedtime already. Oh. Not quite. It's 8 o'clock nearly. And we will see you again next week, Tuesday with Tom. For those of you who watch Jesse, we'll have Jesse, double dose of Jesse tomorrow, Bryce. Ooh, and Thursday, very cool guest starting, Caleb Jade. He's an ex-combat veteran disclosure. So has got some incredible stories to tell, who's been throughout this whole system, and really, really grateful to have him on our show as well. So I hope you guys will be joining us for that. Yeah. And on that note, I want to wish you all a beautiful, as I said, rest of your Tuesday while I fumble around here. I'm very clumsy nowadays. While I fumble around here oh, there, you see it is. Okay, guys, like, share, subscribe, please. Take care of yourselves, and we'll see you very soon. Cherry buys.